We've had an upsurge in our town, and I'm happy as can be. I wish I could tell you why.
In membership?
Tremendous,
That's awesome.
tremendous. We added about 21 members in the past 6 months, 8 months. So we have a great surge coming about. But the only thing I can think of is we've had a unbelievable winter. Most fire departments did. We were active. We were all over town. We were out there constantly. Our
Right.
new website's active. I truly think if fire departments don't market themselves, they're going to fail.
You're right.
You know?
And like I think the last couple of years I've seen this. Is there a Fire in You campaign in New York for volunteer recruitment? And each time I'm looking at this, I'm like, I have a fire in me, and this makes me not want to be part of it because I still volunteer locally and everything else. And it's like, we have to find that angle. But like the traditional methods that we've employed for recruitment and retention, like I don't know how many times we have to keep repeating it to be called insanity, but
It's not working.
yeah, it's not working. And I think if being out in the community and everything else, I think that's great because there's got to be something there. I mean,
If the town looks at you positively and they like what you're doing, they're going to add people to it. Why you should join the fire department? They're great,
Yeah.
and it's truth. And I think we've had good luck by doing that, by being active in the community. I wish you would say my leadership, but it's really not. It's us doing things as a group.
It's probably a mix.
Yeah.
I mean,
The guys got to do it too. The guys and gals
Yeah.
got to follow it, and they do. So
Right.
credit goes to. Listen, the captain steers a ship. You don't have a crew that's running a ship, it ain't gonna go.
That's
So
true.
It's the bottom line.
it's
Yes.
very true.
So I like the fact that we're starting to market Hawthorne, Hawthorne, other fire departments as well. We don't care who it is. We're marketing the hell out of us by doing live burns, the live burn demonstrations, stuff like that. Going to the community rooms, and if I have to go, I go. If it's a burden on the guys, and I see that. Having another meeting night and having them come out and do a training. Listen, they have families. I have the commitment at home that allows me to go do a lot of this stuff. I'll go to the library and talk to seniors. It's still the fire department.
Right.
They're looking at me as the fire department. The fire department's here. It's great. Go to a preschool group. We have great turnouts for that. So I just think you build pride by giving pride. And if you give them the opportunity to build pride, they'll grow with it. And there's a lot of things we got to do as a fire service to change. We got to stop this recruitment and retention. Let's go to a VSAP maybe. Maybe quarterly it's give our kids the stipends so they can pay for college. Now, I don't know what it is. Or car
Yeah.
payments, but let's entice them to make it easier to be a firefighter, which
and
is
and
hard.
I don't think anybody's ever actually said that before. Or I've always heard about the time commitment and all the things that make me want to not be a firefighter. But I've never heard anybody actually approach it from the angle of let's make it easier for them to be a firefighter.
Why not?
And why? Yeah, exactly. Why not? Like I know he was talking with Jeremy here and some members of his department. They talk about Franklin Lakes changing as a community and it becoming more affluent. And I mean, I guess the people that are building these houses, they're not who we typically see, and they're most likely not going to come down for the application. So what's their plan
Right.
to survive?
Right.
And make it easier for people who are still there, or to get people there to volunteer.
Right. I'm a huge believer, and we've been doing this for quite a while now. Understanding what the volunteers' needs are. Right. So it's not so much everybody wants to throw. Oh, we could do this. We could do that. But at the end of the day, we have to look at what's preventing volunteerism in your community. If it's an affluent community and the people that would or want to volunteer can't afford to be in your community, we're chasing away young families that maybe the guy's a plumber or a carpenter and doesn't trade on Wall Street, and that type of thing, right? You have to look at, is housing an issue? Okay, if housing's an issue, how do we combat housing for our volunteers? Maybe we got to think outside of our box. You look at, you're down in PG County every once in a while, right? You've been volunteering down there for a long time. They have live-in programs, right? And those live-in programs, they understand in PG County and other parts, and they do it in Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania. It doesn't happen in Jersey, right? And the thing is that like these live-in programs, they're looking at it saying, okay, who's going to volunteer in the community that we protect? And if you look at like in PG, a lot of those communities are bedroom communities for Washington D.C. or they're tougher neighborhoods where people don't volunteer, right? It's just not something they do. Now I'm summarizing, and nobody hang me for any of this. I'm just spitfiring here. The thing is that who's going to do it? Well, PG County was smart, right? They said, well, if we build a dorm, college kids, right? There's a lot of colleges in the area, and instead of living on a college campus, they could live here, and we'll give them room and board and this and that. And And so they looked at it, and this is just my thinking of how they did it. They looked at it and they were realistic about it. We're not going to get volunteers from the community. And if we want to remain volunteer, we have to look at how to attract volunteers here. My thing is this, right? Real simple. And I've said this on numerous occasions. The town could invest into a capital project of putting in 2-bedroom apartments, right, on a town piece of property, right? And that's your volunteer status where you can attract young families who could have a kid, and since it's a 2-bedroom, they can have an apartment. They pay minimal rent, so you create like a housing authority for the town. They pay minimal rent, and in return, they have to provide X, Y, and Z services. And then after a while, when they age out, they have a second kid, they want to move out. You've gotten that young guy from 24 to 29, 30, right? And you were able to get time and have him live in a home that was nice, and it was affordable. You're still paying rent, but it's a reasonable rent. And we're providing what they need. They need housing. If they need housing, let's provide it. And if the program doesn't work, you know what the town does? The town sells them off to a private, private builder or whoever else, and off they go. They recoup all their money plus. But, you have to look at what's required. Franklin Lakes, the town that I'm from, you're not going to get a guy that makes $500,000 a year or $1 million a year take the garbage out on Monday nights at the firehouse.
True. He may not be able to. He may be working 12 hours a day.
That too, right? Yeah. Or the fact that he doesn't. Why?
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
I'm paying taxes for that.
Right, like and to in my town, and I grew up in this town, and I'm very passionate about it. But the dynamics have changed a little bit, and I'm not saying it's for the worse or for the better. It's just different now, and you don't have the sense of community doesn't revolve around the firehouse anymore where it used to. And so, the fire department's now a service that's expected, not a volunteer service that they appreciate. And so you have to be careful with that, but you have to look at what the volunteers need. And you're right, Rob. Let's look at what the volunteers need and what makes it easier for them to volunteer, and not just snowball out these programs that are like, hey, this is good,
Yeah.
We tried blended learning, I think, in New York, and I just know it didn't work because I haven't seen it ever since. But it was like it was almost like a whole there was a lot of teaching that was led to the students to do on their own, and then they were just going to show up and do the practical skills stuff. And
how'd that work out?
I guess I don't think I've heard the program again.
Yeah.
I think there's some class work that happens, but like I said, it was just like this will make it easier.
Mm-hmm. Easy's not always better.
Hey everybody, it's Rob Ridley from National Fire Radio. Thanks for tuning in. Catch up with us on social media. We got
SoundCloud, National Fire Radio, YouTube, National Fire Radio, Instagram, National Fire Radio, and Facebook, National Fire Radio. Guys, check us out. Take care. Be safe.
See you later.
From the pain.